Now, I want to talk about something that kind of bothered me in the latest the Kavernacle video. Now, obviously, he's right about very very many things in that video. Especially the Elon Musk nonsense about him just basically destroying Twitter. Like no one wants to use Twitter anymore, and only the far right want to use Twitter for their own benefits. But during that video, what he said something that kind of like irked me, and that was that this U.S. election, the one that is about to happen in a couple of hours and probably concludes like tomorrow, so that we can see the election results. He said that the whole election is run on basically no policies, including from both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Candidates based on nothing. And of course, it's an election based on nothing as well. There are no policy debates. There is nothing either side are really campaigning on. It's just the vibes election. Like, even with Kamala Harris, what is she promising Americans? Nothing. So she's not actually fighting an election on the issues or even promising to make people's lives better. It's just, I'm not the other guy. While Donald Trump says, I'm not that guy.
I personally disagree with his with the notion that there is no policies that are being ran on during this election, because I personally think that the Kavernacle is kind of like blinded by grief for Gaza and the Palestinians, that he has blinded himself to the numerous amount of policies that say Kamala Harris has that are actually very good. And the only bad thing that she is currently doing is continuously giving more and more money to Israel, who is and funding the genocide in Gaza. Like that is like currently the only thing bad that she is doing, because she has a lot of actually very good policies opposed to the fascist guy, the very very obviously fascist guy who has no policies and only whines about wokeness and other nonsense. The type of policies that she has, cuts, taxes for the middle class families and, not the top 1% who basically does hoards loads and loads of money and does basically doesn't do anything with it. And it does not, trickle down like, Reagan tried to make it trickle down. Well, not really make it. He knew what the results were going to be. But that is besides the point. She has cut taxes for the middle class family, make it more affordable housing for, people who are currently in the US struggling to own homes and rent homes, and a lot of people are going homeless, and the homeless population is constantly rising due to the insane amount of rent increases and just basically being unable to live in America under its capitalist system currently. She also said that she wants to grow small businesses and invest in entrepreneurs. I mean, the entrepreneurs one is a bit, sketchy, but, the small business one is actually pretty good, pretty decent. Makes people, willing to open more small businesses that will not get, stumped on the boot of, larger corporations and high capitalist people who just run their businesses out of town. And then I can just go through that entire selection of, policies, but the most important one that she currently has is, support for, abortion rights and, reinstate Roe v. Wade. And hopefully, if the Democrats are smart this time, will codify Roe v. Wade into the US Constitution so that, they can roll Roe v. Wade back like they did last time. Abortion is currently something that is, driving the most people to vote this time. I've even gotten a lot of, conservative women, women who vote right wing, to start voting for her due to the whole abortion issue, because being able to have an abortion is actually relatively popular in America, even among the right wing. And it's only like a minority of extremist voices that are pushing for anti-abortion legislation, which is probably going to cost Donald Trump the election. Hopefully, I don't want to speak on that too much. So yeah, those are her top policies, and this is not even talking about Tim Walz, her vice presidential candidate, who is very supportive of LGBTQ plus rights, the rights of women and a lot of other things too, which are very great, as opposed to say Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who spread around the whole myth that not really myth, the whole like very blatant and racist lie of Haitian immigrants coming into the country and eating all the cats. They are eating the cats. They are eating the dogs. They are eating the pets of people who lived. Yes, all that nonsense. And he has basically no policies. Like for instance, he has a war on drug cartels that are staying in Mexico and not coming into the US. They are transporting drugs into the US, but they personally are not going into the US. And he wants us to stop crime and restore safety. Like stop crime, like but how would you exactly stop crime? Because even like the countries like with the lowest crime records are unable to completely stop crime. Well, due to the fact that crime is basically impossible to stop, but you can minimize it. And also, crime is going down in the United States, not going up like the Republicans and the Democrats would like you to think that it is. He also wants to, stop globalism, aka, whatever nonsense. And then he also wants to defend law and liberty, whatever that means. He wants to end censorship and reclaim free speech. AKA, he just wants to say the N word on live TV without people saying anything about it. And he also wants to drain the swamp, like, the thing he said he was going to do in 2016, but never actually did. And all it just end up, straight enough, just making more money for himself and his family during his time as the US president. So maybe this time he can drain the quote unquote swamp. And also he wants to end wokeness or something. And his view on LGBTQ people are, pretty terrible. Like very, very terrible. He says that that if he is to be voted in, he's only going to recognize that there are only two genders, and those are the genders that you are assigned at birth, which is very terrible, because I always say this is going to be destructive and dangerous towards transgender people and other non-gender conforming people. This should be prevented. Like people should literally stop this guy. This guy is like insane, and it's I'm not even talking about his whole stance on abortion, which is extremely wishy-washy. He took pride and he took pride in the reversal of Roe v. Wade, and then walked back that claim when it was viewed that ending Roe v. Wade was extremely unpopular and quite damaging towards the Republican Party, which basically just almost destroyed the entire party, and is walking it back to appear like moderate on the issue. Why not simultaneously upsetting the people who voted against Roe v. Wade and wanted it to be repealed? So yeah, he's pretty terrible on abortion. So the whole thing about the Kavernacle saying that they have no policies is just objectively false, because Harris clearly has better policies, which is kind of a low bar, to be honest, in comparison to a literal fascist like Donald Trump. I know she's a neo-lib. I know she's a liberal. I personally am not a liberal. I'm like a leftist. So I know she's a liberal, and liberals could do a lot better when it comes to the issues in Gaza and the ongoing genocide. But at the same time, Donald Trump is not really going to be any better on the genocide, and also voting third party is not going to really do anything. Sure, you can say that I know that voting Green Party is not going to get Jill Stein the presidency, but maybe we can get a few seats. Well, that won't really matter if Donald Trump is in office, because he will probably just ban any single opposition party from running against him. So yeah, you can probably kiss your green seats goodbye, because Donald Trump is probably never going to let anybody apart from Republicans run. The best chance, if you want to vote Green Party, is probably to vote Harris this time and then build up a Green coalition. So like under her own presidency, because she probably won't go out of her way to stop the Green Party, because she's probably like too busy doing other things. Yeah, I mostly agree on the Kavernacle on a lot of things. Economically, is Israel, Palestine, views, but I'll say on this point about this being a vibes-based election is pretty wrong, and just reduces a lot of people's the reason why a lot of people are voting in this election to just, well, I feel good about this person, therefore I'm going to vote for this person. Maybe it is true about Donald Trump, who is very bad on many things like the economy, the foreign policies, queer rights, rights of women, abortion, like all these like things. He like very very bad. And anyone who is voting for him is just doing it on either vibes or just literal fascist. That is what is going on. But the reason why many people are voting for Harris is because she has actual structural policies, and a lot of people, although might not agree on her on the whole Gaza and genocidal fronts, but are willing to bend the knee due to seeing the forests for the trees and knowing that this is a lot bigger than their own morals and issues regarding a single issue that the Democrats and the Republicans are currently supporting, and are ready to vote for her based on that, because there are frankly a lot of people who care about transgender people, abortion, and all these things, and they also care about Gaza, and they know they can't get all 14 during this election with. So these people just basically bite the bullets, bend the knee, and vote for Harris on this issue because they can get at least 3 of the 4 issues that they might be voting for, because there is no such thing as a ideologically pure candidate, unfortunately. So a lot of people have to settle for what they have. Like even in many places in outside the US, like a lot of things are like that, and you can't always get what you want with your candidate 100% of the time. It's basically impossible. And that's not even to talk that Harris is basically has to represent about hundreds of millions of people in the United States who have all different types of thoughts, feelings, and values, and she has to represent all of those people, which is a lot of people to represent. So obviously she can't be completely ideologically pure to a single issue. So she has to be very spread thin and campaign to as many people as she can get towards her side. I'm not really the biggest Harris fan, but I kind of understand that in order to win an election, you have to get as many people galvanized to your base as you possibly can in order to win the election, especially the swing states. Like those are the most important ones. Now, that is not to say that the Kavernacle and people who agree with him on this point do not have a right to feel terrible and quite heartbroken at what is happening in Gaza. That is not what I'm saying. They have every right to feel that way. But what I am basically just trying to say is that don't be a single issue voter, especially on Gaza, the Gaza front, because there are a lot more people during this election that could be affected other than the Palestinians in Gaza. So yeah, unless you don't really care about women, LGBTQ people's rights, a lot of things like labor rights and all these other economical positions. If you don't care about any of those things, then you are free to vote third party because fuck them, fuck LGBTQ people, fuck women, and fuck basically poor people. Because I care only about the Palestinians who probably don't even know I exist, and they probably will be obliterated when Trump takes office. And then what are you going to do? You just virtue signaled your vote, your throwaway vote with a protest vote. And then, if you protest vote, then you don't really have a right to complain about what happens in Gaza, because you could have made a potential difference, but you really didn't. Since you decided to protest vote instead for try to push the most likely candidate, Kamala Harris, into the direction of potentially sanctioning Israel. But fine, I guess whatever, you virtue signaled, and that's the only important thing. I'm not saying that the Kavernacle does not care about LGBTQ plus people and women and poor people. It's just that dishonest to say that that Kamala Harris has no policies. If he only knew about the policies, the only policy that you would disagree with her on is probably the policy with Israel. But otherwise, he probably agree with her on many policies. But he probably has not looked further into it. That's all I'm just trying to say. Kind of rambled long enough and kind of just vented my feelings about, and my thoughts about what, the Kavernacle said in those few brief seconds that he said something about the US election, which I, wholeheartedly disagree with for various reasons. But I've kind of just said a lot. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and maybe even comment. So yeah, bye.